Welcome to The Better Life with Dr. Mary Ann Pinkston. Join Dr. Pinkston today as she teaches you how an integrative approach to health, combining holistic and contemporary medical information, can lead you to the better life. And now, here's your host, Dr. Mary Ann Pinkston.
Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Mary Ann Pinkston, and this is The Better Life with Dr. Pinkston, and going to bring you a great topic today. I'm very excited about this because there's so much out there about medications, the big pharma, pharmaceutical drugs. And, we try to maintain our lane and use these drugs always appropriately. But there's a big fight between, what's right and what's wrong. So you always want to go to the science. And the science allows us to use some of these drugs off-label, as in not exactly what they were created for, but there are things you can do. And so to tip off that point and bring this some good science and information to you, I have the great and wonderful Ray Solano, who is with us today in Cedar Park.
Yeah.
Close to
Pay no attention to that guy behind the curtain.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was saying. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. I diverge. But really, what is not behind the curtain about all of this is so apropos, honestly. How are you?
We just exhibit at the urology conference in Washington, D.C. with all the big pharmaceutical companies for prostate cancers and prevention and prostate health, and things are much better for prognosis than they ever have been. But we have a new product that we've submitted and patented for Peyronie's disease using an established drug that's been around for quite a while and repurposing it. That's for off-label usage, and that's what we do. And we wanted to make it more accessible to people and have it available as a pharmaceutical company to be able to distribute it and have it available. And we were shell-shocked as to what the area of entry is to this. And I just didn't realize how difficult it is. It's probably the chances of getting a drug approved and being distributed that could be life-saving. It would be like a ball player that plays a sandlot baseball, and that person wants to play in the major leagues in the World Series. That's what the chances are. It's unbelievable how difficult it is, and we found out that it really doesn't matter how good the drug is, but whether it will become $1 billion drug.
Thank you. I mean, whether a market
is there a market for it? If it saves, if it's helpful, but it doesn't pay to look at it if it's $100 million. It's very small companies will do it. Medium pharmaceutical companies, it has to be a $500 million drug. If for a major pharmaceutical company, it has to be $1 billion. And it's a 10-year process.
I will interject. It doesn't really, I hate to cut your roll.
Have to be the strength that is effective. It has to be a strength or a formula that will survive the scrutiny for all of the testings and clinicals and the animal testing. If it doesn't get past animal testing, it won't go anywhere. So it makes you a little bit jaded, and this is the beauty of what we do. We're able to take off-label pharmaceuticals that have been around, take it into different strengths, and with prescriptions from your office, and we can give it to patients many times within a week. So if it wasn't for us, a lot of these would never be out there. And it's just like, you got to be kidding.
Absolutely.
But
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will just interject because this drove me nuts the other day. So my husband and I were watching a commercial for a major biologic medication that is out there now for Crohn's disease and for psoriatic arthritis. So autoimmune illnesses. It's a shot you take, I guess, once a month.
Right.
2 weeks or so. And, we looked at, because I believe you can treat these things with great gut health and, from a biological perspective of supplements and just, eating correctly and things like that, leaky gut and all, very inexpensively, and with time and patience. But we looked up the drug cost on GoodRx, and
How much was it?
$22,000, and they get this drug monthly for years. I mean, really, it blew my mind, and I just can't sit in that and feel like we're going the right direction in medicine now. And so you are absolutely correct. That just goes to prove your point, and you are absolutely correct. Insane.
And it's. Whereas we would do something expensive for us for the patient would be $200, $300.
Yeah, right.
So this is $20,000. So
$20,000.
Anyway, I thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
So this is the reason why what we're doing is the new classification of drugs is peptides, which you and I we've had our last show.
Yes.
And this is truly amazing, being able to take pharmaceuticals that have been injections, and we got people that have been as close to 1 million doses that have been injected over the last 10 years, very safe. And we figured out how to do it topically.
Right.
And so there's a whole classification of drugs that really change people's lives. So we're really excited about this transdermal peptides.
I am excited for you, and I'm getting ready to try one myself. Actually, I'm super excited about it. And that's the essence of what we're talking about, because there are medications. Now, I think the fight out there is that, first of all, it's not a $1 billion industry. So it competes with that $1 billion industry, though. So it frequently gets buried and refuted. And what the lie that is told, that there is no science, behind these medications, and that came very clear in the big pandemic, which will remain nameless. But with things like ivermectin, with autism, leucovorin, with the peptides and all. And there is science, correct?
Well, there is lots of science. It just chooses it. It's important that people, they ignore the science that they don't really acknowledge or recommend. What we have in this country is they have these double-blind studies as a cornerstone for approval, and that's their example of science. Well, the rest of the world does not acknowledge double-blind studies as a criteria, so that means that everywhere else that works on patients, you just throw out around the world because somehow we do it better. But unfortunately, last week there was a new rare drug that was just approved by the FDA that 11 people died in Japan. So the system is a little bit flawed as far as safety. Sometimes you have to use case studies on patients and be able to look at that science, look at the cellular science of the items. So it really is a term that's used, show me the science, that people just looking to discredit something. Well, I think you could probably say anywhere from 30% of the drugs that are already approved in the last 15 years probably are not effective. And there's a whole classification of drugs called SSRIs for depression that probably are not effective. So we're seeing time and time and time again, drugs that are manipulated for these studies for success are just not effective. So I think you have to be real careful before we use the show me the science. We'll take 20 patients. If they get better, I think that's helpful, right?
Right. And can I ask you too, this may be a little far from the topic, but it's important about generics and the way that generics are handled, because is it not true that generics can have I hope I say this correctly, but like up to a 30% difference in how much drug is actually in, the pill or whatever capsule that they're dispensing. There can be a decrease or increase, which would never happen, but a decrease in dosage up to 30%.
Well, there's a huge variation for the drug, but there's not absorption studies for generics. They're actually confirming that the drug is in there, and they have done proper dissolution studies, but they don't do side-by-side comparisons for blood levels of the brand versus generic. So you got to be real careful. Now, many times they are the same, but you have to really look at from manufacturer to manufacturer. There's many times there's excipients or things in the manufacturing process or the way that it is tableted or capsules that are not very helpful. So you got to be a little bit cautious that just because it's generic, it has to be the equivalency is bioequivalent, but not therapeutically equivalent.
That is so interesting.
There's
and there's another reason why.
All you want to do is just take the drug. But, in some cases, the generic drug works really well. But it's definitely... That's another
reason. There's another reason to use your compounding pharmacy there, too, for your generics. And so I know there are different medications we can get from a compounding pharmacy that are generic, so to speak, but we know where you are getting them from and where, how they're processed and put out to you. So you do know you're getting something that is good.
That's right. And we want things that are that work. The most expensive medication is the one that doesn't work.
That's so true. Oh my goodness. So, and then also back to kind of the transdermal effect too, because that is oftentimes, I know, really, really laden with a lot of myth that, skin doesn't absorb things well or doesn't get, and it's a tough battle for scientists to overcome, but I know you've done it.
And so for all your listeners, try out our BPC 157 transdermal. If you've got a tendon issue or a tendon irritation, if you have an area, it could be an elbow, it could be a knee for a muscle that is inflamed, topical BPC 157, just an amazing product that we have found to give instant relief, much better than any of the traditional medication. So we require a prescription for it now, but they can just call you up and we can definitely get you that prescription.
Yes. And I know we mentioned quite a few of those the last time. And so maybe we can kind of go over some of their uses as well, what they're for. I know the BPC 157, usually orally we use a lot for gut health, but it is fantastic on inflammation for tendons and muscles and things like that. And I know you have MOTS-C, you have CJC. Those are wonderful, wonderful uses.
Wonderful for giving energy back. MOTS-C. And then we have one for sleep. We have one for sleep as well.
Yes. That is really helpful, to say the least.
There we go. So the important thing is to ask questions, be inquisitive, ask for different therapies. Don't just settle for it's not available. I had somebody that come up to me and asked if we did ivermectin. We have some patients that have been using it. There's some literature to support the use with ivermectin with chemotherapy. So there's a number of oncologists that do combination therapy that it helps the therapeutic effectiveness of the chemo drug with the outcomes for lung cancer and others cancer. So, but it is readily available. There's just different doses. You have to get with a pharmacy that is familiar with the different dosing. And that's what's so important. But there is a lot of information out there, and all of it should not be just ruled out. It should just be investigated.
Absolutely. Yeah. And all of this is not anecdotal, folks. This really isn't. There's brought forth by the pandemic, but definitely many, many different uses. What about leucovorin? I think that's kind of an odd drug that's been used in the cancer world for a very long time. People don't really know and understand it. Very safe, but it has a lot of different uses as well. Yeah,
there's a folic acid receptors in the brain that many times the traditional methylated folinic acid it doesn't seem to absorb, but this leucovorin is a special folinic acid analog that is used that seems to overcome the folinic acid resistance of those receptors in the brain, so that what we found is that they actually get folinic acid levels in the spinal fluid that Dr. Fry did his work on. So we've seen, patients get response. So if it's 50%, who cares? If most drugs don't get more than a 20 or 30% of effectiveness. So we found that this is available. Some practitioners won't prescribe it because they think it's political. It's really kind of weird why it's tagged in that line. But I think it's important for you to try it, start out slowly, get with a licensed practitioner that's familiar with the dosing, and make sure it's applicable. But, I think people need the right to try.
Absolutely. And so all these things are very, very political and make it difficult, which is sad. We really have a lot of great science behind these things, and they are available. Thank God for the compounding pharmacies. Thank God for them. That's right.
We're sometimes the last hope that we can, for many patients, we're licensed, we're state licensed, and we have the ability to make unique compounds that are therapeutically safe and can be effective in dosage forms that people can absorb.
Absolutely. And you have a couple of others. You mentioned the addressed the H100 for Peyronie's. I know you also have the Trimix, the gel, Peyronie's, and the Trimix were, erectile dysfunction and all these great things. We just need a little push to get
the Trimix. And I think nicardipine, this is really interesting. Nicardipine is a drug that's used for heart failure, right? For blood pressure. It's a calcium channel blocker. It's for people that are having atrial fibrillation, or it affects the electrical conductivity in the heart. So people that are having difficult time with controlling blood pressure, the calcium channel blockers. However, topically, it breaks up fibrotic tissue, and it has, in certain doses, it upregulates an enzyme called a collagenase enzyme. And this drug is that enzyme breaks up the fibrotic tissue nodules that would occur with Peyronie's disease. And another disease is Dupuytren's contracture. and planters fibromatosis, all the same dysregulation of fibrotic tissue that is being produced by the body. So isn't it amazing? You know, a drug that's used for heart dysfunction and blood pressure can be used to treat another drug. And
Absolutely.
This is the problem, to be able to go ahead and get an FDA approval for that type of medication. Unfortunately, it's not $1 billion drug. It's not $100 million drug. So it just sits, and it just has to be done individually. So that's fine.
Kind of a grassroots movement, right? To get something so wonderful out there. And that's how we started our conversation on the off-label use and the drug approval. Again, if it's not a $1 billion drug, it's not going to be marketed as such. Hard to get that through. Hard to get these podcasts through. Hard to get the views and things that you want, and the understanding to people out there. So really fantastic things that you guys have. Well, very good. Have we left anything out at all, Ray, in our conversation about all this? Because this is good stuff.
What I want people to understand is it's so important that there's a lot of telemedicine groups that are promoting products and medicines that require a consultation. There's tremendous drugs for erectile dysfunction for young people that may not have this problem, but it's more for pleasure. And I'm just really unsure what we're doing to young men to understand if they're having hormonal dysfunction. But many times we're seeing huge levels of vasodilation that is just not normal. So there's not a feedback. You can get more medication through a telemedicine visit than ever in the history of man. Yes. And I'm unclear how safe it is, because we hear time and time again that there's problems with the medication, or the uses of the dose is too high. Yes. So I think want people just be cautious that these medications are not. There are some restrictions for a really good reason.
Right. That more is not always better, but the somebody who understands and knows. I think we have lost the value of people who know their field and know how the underlying science works and can apply that to each individual, and that you can't just throw it in the water and everybody gets better. It's just, and you can't read it on ChatGPT and understand it in 5 minutes. That's just not the way it works. So you still need a good educator. Right. You need somebody who has a great education underneath with the science and all to apply it correctly. This is absolutely, we fight about this all the time. I address this on the podcast all the time with the public. I know you do too. I sit with patients all the time and try to talk them into understanding.
We'll give you our contact information so people can get some advice. It's pdlabsrx.com. That's pdlabsrx.com, and our phone number is 888-909-0110. That's 888-909-0110. And give us a call, and we can give you some advice and give you a little bit of a snapshot before. We can also make an appointment to get a clinical overview, a complete nutritional workup, or be able to get a program so that you can safely navigate yourself what works for you and where do you start. You don't build a house by starting on the roof. You build a house by starting in a foundation.
Thank you. Well said. Absolutely. And such access to such great things. We didn't mention things like LDN or, This is so true. That's a great analogy. I'm going to steal that from you. Perfect. Oh, good. Well, all of this information also can be addressed. You go to drp.betterlife.com And like the Oz thing, right? So DRP, betterlife.com. You've got all of our previous shows. We've got so many of them monthly for the last 4 years now. And great information and arguments as to how it can be done correctly, safely,
That's right.
And with ease. You guys still answer a phone, which I love. And that's the best part of it all. You're still human and not an AI bot. Not yet.
I know it's gonna be a problem because people just want information and solve problems, right?
Right, absolutely. But I'm glad you guys do it the way you do it. So, yes, pdlabsrx.com, which you can also find at drpbetterlife.com. And as always, Ray, it's such a pleasure to have you on. Thank you for all this great information. And check them out. Any last thoughts? Did we leave anything out?
Well, thanks again. Well, I think we're coming up on the summer, and I think people to realize topical skincare with glutathione was some of the best skincare. It's an antioxidant. Great. It stops that irritation or radiation of the skin. So I think the best skincare is topical glutathione. So check us out. And I apply it every day. And I think that's the best way to stop these skin cancers is stop that the overexcited radiation, which needs to be neutralized. And glutathione is your friend. How's that?
Perfect. And I think that's why you're aging in reverse. Every time I see you, you look at you're younger. Oh, your great skincare. You got a lot of great.
Well, that's why I'm GHK copper today. My GHK copper. I put my GHK copper on today.
Yep, and the Muscle OS and all, or the all the great peptides. And so you guys have great stuff. We really appreciate it. All right, well, very good, Ray. Thank you so much, and please get in contact pdlabsrx.com, and we will see you again in a month, Ray. I appreciate it. And as always, guys, take care of each other out there. We'll see you next week.
Okay, thanks for having me. All right.
Hi, this is pharmacist Ray Solano with an important tip to save you money on your prescriptions. Imagine affordable medication and programs that get rid of the root cause of chronic conditions, such as elevated blood sugar, blood pressure, and difficulty remembering your keys, or maybe even where your car is. PD Labs Pharmacy is a special compounding pharmacy providing service, solutions, and access to on-site trained telemedicine staff available to answer your questions. Today, many people have discovered personalized prescriptions tailored to you with powerful results such as feeling better. Check out our website, pdlabsrx.com. Our nationwide coverage and 26 years in pharmacy allows us to offer medications at almost half the price of local pharmacies. Switch your pharmacy to PD Labs and experience the real service without the expensive bill. Call us at 888-909-0110. That's 888-909-0110 or pdlabsrx.com. Remember, you have a choice in healthcare.
You've been enjoying The Better Life with Dr. Mary Ann Pinkston. For more information, go to drpthebetterlife.com. That's drpthebetterlife.com. And listen next week for The Better Life with Dr. Pinkston.